Dead Days is a zombie horror visual novel, but like, not in the traditional way. It's a story about battery-powered human zombies that recharge by jumping people. Strange, but hey, it's one unique premise that's worth a read. After dying a rather pitiful death, our main character Teru realizes that he and 3 other people have been brought back to life by a mysterious organization. The organization offers to extend their lives further on one condition: they must eradicate specters, and failing to comply means dying permanently. Now, it's not like the do as I say or I'll kill you, but more like, well, it's your funeral if you don't do it. When I say battery-powered humans, that's exactly what I mean. By following this organization's orders, our cast gets electronic charges to extend the lifespan of their bodies. But if they don't, they'll run out of charge for their bodies to function. Think of it like a cell phone, but the moment the battery is empty, that's it, you can never use it again. That's Teru and the cast in here. These guys have been given one last lease on life, yes, but they're also closer to death than they have ever before. Each character approaches that mentality in their own ways. Dead Days is a pretty introspective life or death drama. But before I go more in depth, I have to address 2 big elephants in the room. 1, this is a clock-up title. 2, the sketchiest goddamn reason why these characters are forced to have sex. Dead Days has its fair share of brutal scenes. This title is developed by ClockUp, the same people who brought you Euphoria and Maggot Baits. You'll see some ruthless beatings in here. Our characters are literally jumping people. Well, specters of data that look a lot like them, which is actually really funny in retrospect. These specters aren't actually humans in reality, so regular bystanders will just see a couple of people beating up some random trash bag in the corner of the street. But that's besides the point. Dead Days has violent scenes, some of them even explicit in nature. I've seen some absolutely messed up stuff in my Arrow Girl visual novels, but Dead Days was surely the first to show me what I actually looks like. And by the time I finished reading it, my own eyes needed to be bleached. As for the other glaring thing, it's why these guys even have to have sex to begin with. You see, after our cast gets their dose of electricity, they get struck with unstoppable urges of arousal, like if they were injected with dangerous amounts of aphrodisiacs. There's a completely understandable story reason for why this happens. The mechanism in their bodies keeping them alive is overstimulating their reproductive drive
in order to convince the cells in their body that they are actually alive, given their physical bodies are working against the natural state of death, and thus it leads to an urge to procreate with other humans.
But at the same time, like, why? It's a tacky as hell scenario that I'm just like, okay, sure, Arrowgay logic. Because just like how the characters feel about it, it sure gets in the way at the most inopportune times. Of course, Dead Days still utilizes this. It isn't there just cuz. Here you see how that forced proximity through sharing both emotional and physical burdens increases the affinity between the main character and the female cast. But this relationship isn't exactly as wholesome as you might expect. And you can blame our main lead for that. Teru is one charismatic dude, a fairly popular individual and likable person in school circles, adopting that best friend comic relief persona. What lies underneath, though, is a cunning liar and selfish manipulator. He will not hesitate to exploit and lie to others if it means furthering his own personal gain. We're talking about a guy that hangs out with the most popular guy in school to sleep with the girls that get attracted to his friend. It's too bad his luck finally ran out. Teru is a pretty unique anti-hero. We see how he lives his life only to be completely flipped upside down after he dies. Turns out dying once really does make you reevaluate your life. You'll see Teru develop this sense of detachment and intense rationality due to being closer to death now than ever before. And the fact that those same poor souls that he hunts down can also fight back. It's one really interesting transformation of his character. He becomes a lot more self-reflective, coping with how he's gonna live his life now. Everyday school affairs like dating girls now feel inconsequential compared to his life or death brawl with some ugly bastard electronic nightmare.
リブートボディウォーリアーモードが選択されました。
This is now their new reality, their new everyday. And he's not the only one stressing over their status dead but alive. Ira's got a completely new agenda now that she's brought back to life after being kidnapped. Monomi's got her personal home life and child to take care of, which conflicts with their specter hunting duties. And Tengen is wandering on this earth without his memories, despite being renowned as a death row inmate after murdering 10 people. You'll get to see how these people struggle with their current circumstances as they slowly piece together what's really important to them now. What does survival and living mean to them? Why do they continue to to live, or alternatively, why do they not want to die? It's a nice breakdown into each character, something that actually reminds me of another similar title that touches on the same ideas, Tokyo Necro. Except while Dead Days is more of a life or death drama with electronic humans, Tokyo Necro is Ice Age cyberpunk with badass 3D gunkata. While I do like me some zombie killing action scenes, I equally find the interpersonal aspect of Dead Days just as interesting to read. The character stuff is great. There's even a bit of hype moments in here too. As for the world building, less than thrilled. There's actually a lot of background details surrounding the revival in the first place. The reason why it exists. What's happening behind the scenes is complicated, and yet not complicated. We have this conflict between rival organizations, a clash of ideologies on how to achieve immortality, which ultimately resorts in turf wars between the two factions. An ordeal that goes beyond our characters. A lot happens about this, progressing what weird semblance of an ongoing plot and filling in details, but I found myself never really caring about it. Because again, what I cared about the most is Dead Days' characters. How will our characters change because of this life-altering event? And for Teru specifically, how he's going to confront life now, especially as the girl who keeps interfering with his life, the biggest pain in his ass, keeps lingering in his thoughts. If you're interested in another title like this one, you definitely want to check out this video over here, or click here for a wide variety of visual novel recommendations. I would like to thank everyone on Patreon for supporting me in covering visual novels. You guys are fantastic, and if you'd like to be a part of that effort, please consider subscribing. And finally, Kimaru is the best 10 out of 10 psycho.